Welcome to the exclusive. I'm your host, Sharon Tharp. Apologies now for my voice. I woke up a little sick after the Survivor premiere. Not sure who gave it to me, but we're going to dive into the Survivor premiere, and I'm very excited. I thought it was a fun episode, and I'm even more excited by my guest today. He's making his debut here on the exclusive. It's Survivor 47 runner-up, Sam Phalen. Sam, how are you?
I'm fantastic. I'm so excited to be here with you. I agree that it was a very fun episode. So, nowhere I'd rather be to break it all down and get into it.
Yes, I'm excited. Well, I guess let's start there. Overall thoughts, because there's a lot of hype with this season. Do you think the premiere lived up to the hype? And obviously, was it 3 hours? I guess the runtime was like 2 hours,
Yeah.
but it was a long, long episode.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I think it did. It's super elementary vocabulary, but fun is the word that I thought of. And I know that's the word that Jeff has been parading around throughout most of preseason press. And he wanted joy and fun and all of it. But that's what it was. I mean, the perfect blend in my eyes of nostalgia. They did a great job
Yep.
paying respects to the history of the show and that intro. I got choked up at Jenna Lewis's Matt chat right at the beginning. I just thought it was so beautiful, so well said. And I think for a lot of people, and I've seen this reaction, and I'm glad that I wasn't the only one that felt it, that it was just sort of a reminder of the cultural institution that Survivor has been, a reminder of why so many people loved the show, and the characters were charactering and doing their thing. And it was, I really, really had a good time and enjoyed it.
Yep, me too. I thought they paid homage to the show's history. I thought the clips, the whole first 10 minutes, 5 to 10 minutes was great. I think if you're coming into Survivor new, you might be a little. I do think it set it up where you can kind of understand the history and sort of
100%.
right. Like I feel like they did a good job there. And like you said, I had chills at some point. Like I feel like a nerd, but then I was like asking around and everyone seemed to have the same sentiment. So I didn't feel so silly. But yeah,
It's
I thought it was fun.
huge for these returning player seasons, right? Like there's obviously so much excitement for diehard Survivor fans and day one fans, and just like the whole community has been buzzing about the season. But if you're somebody casually, if you're tuning in for Billie Eilish or Mr. Beast or whatever reason, or maybe you saw it on the Tonight Show, if you're tuning into Survivor 50 for the first time, uh, I think a lot of times these returning seasons can lose a little bit to first
Yep.
time viewers because you don't understand the lore or the history of these characters. And the show doesn't want to sacrifice too much airtime or too much of the present by trying to re-explain all of that to you. And I think they towed that line really well, where you were aware that in their own way, each and every one of these people has impacted the history of the show. We got tastes of the Coach and Aussie flashback, right? And we got the Jenna
Yep.
Lewis flashback. We got what we needed to understand what we were dealing with and provide new viewers that background and old viewers that nostalgia that kind of scratches the itch that a lot of people have been wanting.
Yeah, I agree. I thought it was a great balance. I think I always want to see more interpersonal tribe dynamics, but at the end of the day, like you need to set it up. This is the first episode, so I'll hold off on the Aubrey and Q interaction that we didn't get
Yeah,
yet.
sure.
But but let's not bury the lead here. Jenna goes out. We'll start with Jenna.
Ugh.
Um, so it was tough. Either way, it was going to be tough. Whether we lost Cirie, which I don't know if the Aussie plan was ever real, if we lost Aussie or we lost Jenna. I thought Jenna, it was, I hate to say a bookend. I don't know. I just spoke to her and she said she was very happy with the show and how it presented her story. And so that makes me happy because it is hard to see Jenna go out here. But what did you think Jenna did wrong, if anything?
Um, I mean, there's always the was it too hard, too fast conversation.
Yep.
And maybe the biggest thing here is underestimating or misreading relationships. She certainly seemed to be right on the nose with Aussie Cirie and that pairing.
Yep.
Um, but I don't think it's like a secret that a lot of people have pre-existing relationships, pre-existing alliances, that they're coming in with deals and backdoor deals and handshakes and you name it. She's hinted at a lot of that, after
Yep.
the episode. But how can you know that going in? And I do think Jenna is somebody who came in without really anybody. The only person that she knew was Colby, and Colby was the only person she had played with. She's not on the same starting tribe as Colby. there's other people in recent eras that don't necessarily have somebody from their season, like Chrissy Hoffback or Genevieve or Jonathan. But when you're in the new era or you're a more modern player, there is this level of survivor community that you are more around people that you might see out there. And you've certainly met a lot of these people. And I don't think Jenna Lewis had met Rick Devens or Christian Hubicki or Savannah Louie, certainly, obviously,
No.
before she goes out there. And I think that was really a difficult thing for her to overcome. The lack of relationships, the starting tribe dynamics, and she was swinging for the fences, which is exactly why they put her on the show. But sometimes if you swing and miss, you end up out first.
No, exactly. I feel like she was kind of damned if she did, damned if she didn't a little bit with her tribe because, as much as we can criticize her for coming in really hot, which she did, and I was kind of questioning why you would throw out a name so early, though she told me in her exit interview Christian was actually the one who told her Cirie. I don't That's hard for me to believe because Christian had previously just told me he wanted to work with Cirie. So I'm not really sure. We'll find out more when I eventually talk to Christian or even Cirie. But yeah, I think if had she not done anything and went out, we all would have been like, "Why didn't you do something?" So
Right.
I do feel like she was kind of in a bad spot either way.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the balance, like why she's in a really hard spot, why I think Savannah's in a really hard spot, Rizzo's in a really hard spot. You're
Yep.
coming in feeling like you're on the back foot with your relationships. And I think Savannah ends up taking the right approach here.
Yep.
But it's a coin flip on whether or not so you're doing the exact right thing or the exact wrong thing, right? And I played with people on my season who were a little bit too slow to the game, a little bit too hesitant to jump into bed and try to get something going and start talking plans. And it's like, hey man, ship has sailed. We're already gone. We're already talking. We already have your name next in line. And I think Savannah did a good job of reading the room. Like she kind of just went with the vibe. She found where that majority group was going with Devens and Christian and Emily, and picked up Joe and found her way into the majority. And I think Jenna took the opposite approach, but with this group, that wasn't the right approach to take.
Exactly. I feel like with Christian, Devens, and Emily sort of I mean, they know each other in real life. Like, I think that's hard to overcome, obviously, the Aussie and Siri of it all. Do we think the Aussie plan was actually they were actually considering this?
Yeah, I do. I do.
Okay.
I mean, because it really seemed like I loved the conversation, and Joe is the first person to point it out. And
Yep.
I was very impressed with Joe this episode from what I was expecting. But just the idea of, hey, Ozzy pushed back on that really, really hard. And if you are somebody like Christian or Emily or Devens or whoever, and Cirie is viewed as somebody that you want to play with that you can dispose of later in the game, and you're not really threatened about, I mean, if you got to go to the final 8 with one of Ozzy or Cirie, which one are you worried about winning out? It's
Right.
definitely Ozzy. And
Yep.
so, if you're threatened by this duo, want to split up this duo, or aware that this could be dangerous, um, and I'll say this too, like Jenna seemed very concerned and Joe seemed very concerned with winning challenges, as
Yep.
they should be, because they're both on the outs, right? Jenna's out. And I think Joe knows that he doesn't have the relationships of some of these other people. If I'm Christian or Rick Devens or Emily, and I feel like I'm in this core group that's in the majority of my tribe, we can lose 5 times for all I care. Like I'm going to control it every single time. So I'm going to keep the people in that I want to play with. Voting Ozzy out is fine because I can just vote out Jenna next and Joe after her,
Yep.
and whatever that order ends up being. But if you feel like you have control, challenges don't really matter.
I've come around to that too, especially in the sense that like I don't know this for sure, but I feel like there's gonna be one more vote out and a tribe swap already. Like I feel like
Very
there's
well
so
could
many
be, yeah.
players. I think it's gonna be very fast moving. Like, oh, we have to keep this tribe strong. I mean, how long will that tribe even be intact? So I kind of agree with that. At first I was surprised, but I was like, you know what? At this point, I don't think it's a huge factor. And like you said, if you build those relationships, it really doesn't matter. Um, but yeah, I'm trying to think what else on the Sila tribe before we get to the Savannah coming out with her win. I thought
Mm,
that was she had told me in the preseason she was gonna do that, and I think there was no way around that. They all had clocked it.
yep.
I think it had leaked. Do you think she played that well?
100%. I think that's exactly the right play. Like you said, inevitable. They're going to one, maybe infer
Yep.
there's winner with Kyle, winner with the what's going on over here. You're the one from 49. Did you win? It's kind of a like similar. It's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. If she says I didn't win, they might assume you won. Now assume that you're lying. Now, have a target on you anyways, or you just come up front with it and hope that it buys you some trust. The survivor community talks. I think there was
Yep.
knowledge that Savannah won before Savannah even went to go film. The worst thing you can possibly do is lie and have everybody know that you're lying. So I
Which
think
we
she
can
did.
talk about
Yeah, I
because
was
she
going to
does
say,
end up lying.
I was going to get into that because this was, I think, another really hard spot, but I do think that Savannah maybe could have done this differently. I'll say a block vote doesn't really matter to me. I
Mm,
don't think a block vote is significant, especially this early in the game. Um, if you're in this majority, heck, I'd give it away to somebody else. But if you're coming back, you have to assume that they're going to assume you have
right.
something, and you'd rather be upfront and say, "Hey, I have this block of vote," and let them at least know what they're dealing with. You can show everybody versus say nothing and hope to get away with it. And I think it was a very plausible lie. I don't think she played it poorly in terms of how she said it or her face or anything. I thought it was believable from what I
Right.
saw on TV, but I think it's more of just the meta, right? She walks away and they're all going, I mean, surely she didn't win and just get nothing, right? Um, so maybe that's a spot where it's a block of vote early on, and it's not going to be as important or essential to your game as these relationships might be.
No, I totally agree with that. I think I just didn't understand. Also, you're making a good point because I didn't think about block a vote's not. If it was an idol, I could
Idle,
maybe
I get.
consider.
I get,
Yeah,
yeah,
but
because I mean that's real powerful. But a block of vote, even late game, I don't even remember a block of vote being used like effectively throughout. I mean, you truly
mm,
have to be in a perfect, you know, it's 4 against 4 scenario for the block of vote to really matter. For the most part, it's rather useless.
and it's also more dangerous that people not only do they assume she has something, they probably assume she has something worse than the block a
Always.
vote.
We just saw this on
Yeah.
season 49.
Yep.
What was it with Steven where Rizzo and Savannah both assume Steven's got to steal a vote. All he has is a block a vote, but Steven's kind of like, all right, I'll let them keep believing that I have the more powerful
Mm,
advantage. That's better for me if they think that I've got something that they have to account for. So I think, yeah, you will always fear the worst, fear an idol, fear a steal a vote, fear something that can really shake up and ruin your game. Because as a player, the minute somebody goes on a journey, especially if it's somebody that's outside of your trust circle, just the worst fear possible is that they get something that ruins your plans, that ends
yep.
your game in some way, that is catastrophic to you. And so you're always going to play probably for the worst case scenario.
Yep, yep, I agree. I was listening to Stephen Fishbach and Rob Sesternino last night, and they made a great point that I didn't think about. She's kind of lucky that Colby was the one there because, like, anyone else would be like, "Why is Savannah staying back?" Right? Like, Sam, if you were out there with Savannah, would that be weird to you?
I would love to say yes, but I don't know. I truly
Okay.
like because I do think production does things that are like very weird for no like seemingly no reason. Sometimes they'll be like, "All right, come on, get off the boat. We're about ready to go do our walk into camp after tribal council," and then you're standing there for half an hour waiting for like the go ahead to go walk, and you're like, "Why did we get off the boat half an hour ago if we were just going to stand here?" You don't really know what they're doing, so
Right.
I might have. I mean, heck, on my season, I went out to the water and looked at the buoy advantage with Genevieve, stared right at it and said, I think that's a production buoy for the boats, and walked away. Like there is a
Mm,
little bit of plausible deniability because you don't know what's going on behind the scenes that I could maybe I clock it, but I also think I might have just been like, oh, that was weird, and then thought nothing of it.
okay, okay, that's fair. See, I take whatever you say better than because like, I wouldn't know, right? Like, I don't think I would probably be oblivious to it a little bit too, but I know people play the meta game a little bit as well, so we'll see, I guess, how that turns out. But yeah, in terms of Jenna, the only other thing I found really interesting was, like, it seemed like her and Cirie had, like, 0 relationship out there. We didn't see
Yeah.
any and she told me as so, and so I wonder what that's about. Had they attempted? Was there a history? I'm not really sure, but, because couldn't have Jenna pitched, like, Aussie and Siri were obviously close and people were sort of teaming up, but, like, could she have gotten in with that old school alliance or no? Do you think there was nothing there?
I mean, I certainly think there could have been room there.
Yeah.
And it might be one of those things, right? Like once that first shot is fired, it becomes really difficult to come back from. And you know, I think Jenna probably hit that beach looking for anything, trying to figure out where her footing was. And
Yep.
she sort of sees this majority alliance forming with Christian and Emily and Rick, and now Savannah and Joe are like, she sees that group starting to have more pull. And I think her response was, let me see if I can get in with this group. And I know she talked about trying to uh, put into motion something with Savannah and Joe, two other people that didn't have any relationships in that group. But then as soon as you plant your flag on that side, Cirie's not somebody that's gonna like she just doesn't play that way. She never has, where she's like, yeah, you want me out and are coming for me, but that's okay. I'll leave you in. So I think it was probably her just scrambling, looking for what was the best place to find safe harbor, and it wasn't as safe as she thought it was with that group.
Yeah, I think Cirie is, like, the one name that you don't wanna say
Yeah.
because yeah, so I
I
get
mean,
it.
it really, you could tell from preseason interviews too that a lot of people were thinking about it. A lot of people were thinking about Cirie, and a lot of people wanted Cirie out right away.
Yep.
Um, but you have to be careful with somebody like that. You know, you say their name to the wrong person and you are toast. And, you know, it turns out Rick Devens in this case was that wrong person who sends that information on back, and it comes spiraling and crashing down on you. But I mean, Savannah seemed on board. I think Joe would have seemed on board. You just didn't have,
Emily too, a little bit.
yeah, you know, when so maybe there was a plan there, but Emily goes in like she's in with Christian and Devens, and it's like, can you swing that whole group? But
Yep.
a different tribe breakdown, a different you take out Rick Devens and put in, I don't know, Charlie, and maybe you've got something there. Like you swap them and you
Yep.
could make
Yep.
something happen.
Yeah, I wanna talk about the immunity challenge a little bit. I was lucky enough to be there, witness this whole nonsense, but I think we all as press, when we saw the tribe divisions, I thought they were pretty well done. I would say it for us, it was kind of obvious that that was, like, the least strong tribe, I would
Mhm.
say.
Yep.
Um, and yeah, I mean, the challenge itself, I ran it, was pretty intense, but Cirie and I love Cirie, but they actually gave her sort of a nicer edit than I kind of expected. She like, it took her 15, 20 minutes, like, it was a long time. And then obviously the Kyle medevac in the middle of it. But yeah, I think, going out of that challenge, I was worried for Cirie, and then I should have known, like, Cirie knows how to get her hooks in people, and she had already planted her flag. She already planted the seeds before they even got to the immunity challenge, which shame on me for not believing in her. But yeah, I think, the immunity challenge. Also, were you surprised that only one tribe went to tribal in the
I
first episode?
really was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we're sitting on day 4 right now with like, and like the Kyle medevac, it was unforeseen, obviously, from a production schedule standpoint. But even so, day 4, 22 days left of the game. There are 22 players in the game. So I'm very surprised that we didn't get a pre-merge that was, you know, 2 tribes going to tribal every single round. That's kind of what I thought it was going to be when we saw a 24-person cast. But
Yep.
that just means that we've got chaos coming down the road.
Oh, yeah, there's definitely gonna be some, double or triple boots or something coming up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wanna talk about, obviously, Kyle going out here. It was
Mm.
devastating. I mean, I felt so bad. You probably other people probably read, but, they cut out the part that Kyle had actually gotten up there and Colby was struggling, and Kyle went back down to help Colby, and then that's when he got injured. And I spoke to Kyle, and I think he admitted he was trying to downplay it to production because, I mean, he couldn't walk. Like, it was
Yeah.
pretty bad. What do you make of Kyle's exit here? Like, I teared up. I thought it was really, really sad, to be honest.
Yeah, it weirdly, I didn't tear up. I would think I would tear up. It just kinda gave me this weird, really weird, strange feeling where I felt very immersed. Like, I felt
Mm,
back. I could just see things on Kyle's face that I really resonated with and felt through the screen. Even when, you know, he goes down and he's kinda, like, holding it and he's talking to Dr. Joe and he's like, "No, yeah, it's good. It's not a problem." But he's kind of talking really fast and I'm like, "Oh, I can feel the adrenaline
yes.
shooting through his body. I can feel the exact emotion that Kyle's feeling right now. And the minute that Jeff walked into camp and you see him kind of look up, and he's not sad. He doesn't start crying. He doesn't smile, but there is like this little flicker in his face that's like he knows what's about to happen. And he's trying to, like, I don't know. I found it all very moving and powerful, not in a sad way, because like I know Kyle is gonna be all right. Yeah, I know that
He's fine.
Kyle, he had what, 8 days to spend his $1 million. He got to go home to
Yep.
an awesome life, and he'll be okay. But I did feel the emotion of just trying to make peace with it in real time. And especially from a guy who was in a great position, who was beloved
Yep.
by everybody out there, who I think everybody universally was kind of rooting for to do very well, because he is that stand up of a guy. So it was hard to watch, but I think moments like that are also what makes Survivor great. Um, there's a lot of moments that I'm like, wow, that powerful stuff. There's a lot of emotion on display, but I think that's why we love the show. We want to feel sadness and heaviness, and we want to laugh at Coach and dive into strategy and do all of it in one night. And I think this episode had all of that, and Kyle was a big driving factor for some of that heavier weight.
So true. You articulated it kind of how I wanted to, in the sense that you could see the game flash before his eyes. He was very like, you're right. Like you could like see him processing in real time. And even when they were talking to him, and that stuff's hard for me to watch, but you're right, not wrong in that. That's just like real emotion there. That's
Mm.
like something, I don't know, that really touched me as well. And I felt bad for Kyle, but at the same time, Kyle's fine. He just won $1 million.
Well, and I think the fact that he was so like I don't know, he was so composed, and I think
Yes.
that really resonated with me more than anything. It would have been easy for he immediately starts crying, goes, "No, Jeff, no!" Like, and I would have been like, "Oh, sad for him." But I don't know if I would have felt it the same way. Like, I
Yep.
felt him trying to compose himself. He's trying not to cry when he's giving the speech to his tribe mates. He's trying to barter with Jeff a little bit, being like, hey, I mean, what's really the risk, And he's doing all kind of 5 stages of grief in the episode in like a 3-minute span, and it was very captivating to see.
Yeah, yeah, no, I totally agree. And like you had said, and I want to talk about the Vatu tribe here, Kyle was in a good spot. He was in a majority alliance. It seemed like I was worried about him going into the season. A lot of people just watched him win. But I mean, he connected with Genevieve, Colby, Stephanie. I think they brought in, who'd they bring in? Q? I don't even know if there was
Yeah, yeah.
was it Q? Did that did
5
that gr-
personal.
did that group surprise you at all or no?
Um, I think I'm a little surprised. I was surprised with how down to clown Colby Donaldson was. I was
Mm,
really impressed with his ability to, like, we all expected Colby, I think, to be a little bit old school. Hey, slow
yes.
down a little bit. Why these kids rushing in to try to make alliances on day one? We got a shelter to build. He was not that way. He was ready to go, ready to play, ready to lock in alliances and trust. So that aspect surprised me. The Q, Kyle, Genevieve of it all makes a lot of sense, because I think they're 3 people that recognize the value of keeping threats in the game. I think Q is chaotic, and there's a lot of people that would be like, I need the chaos out. I think Genevieve and Kyle look at that as something that they want to play with and keep around, because it's another layer of protection from themselves. I think they look at each other the same way. And I think it was a lot of people without relationships,
Yeah.
like Genevieve doesn't have anybody from season 47 out there with her. Q has people, but what is the relationship with Tiffany like? What is the
Yep.
relationship with Charlie like? And Kyle, just burned Joe. And I think there's a pretty clear like weirdness between him and Camilla coming in, where
Yep.
they're like, "Oh, we're here together." And there can be this effort to be like, "I need to distance myself from you." So I think it was, a good mix for Kyle, with a group of people that were all kind of looking to find their footing and see like how this was going to shake out for them, and then they find it a mutually beneficial cohort to get behind.
Yeah, totally agree. I was with Colby, I will say, when I was at the tribe camp, he was he was telling Rizzo to stop cursing. It's not nice, just curt. So, there was a little bit of dad whatever going on, but we see it in the episode, and to be honest, like that moment between Colby and Rizzo, at first I was like, "Oh, already? This is what we're," but you could see on, Colby's face, I think there is sort of, I think he's at a point in his life, like he said, that he sort of is looking back on Survivor in a different way, and it was a nice moment, and I for a second, I was looking at Colby, and I think he was like, "Is this guy, like, fake crying or being," and then I was like, "Okay, it's real."
Yeah.
Um,
I Colby is one of my absolute favorite people ever, like, on the show. I'm there I don't think there's anybody besides Colby that I would be genuinely, like,
wow,
find it
okay.
cool to meet them. And it all comes back to me for my grandmother who grew up in, like, rural Tennessee and watched the show when I was, like, a little kid, and she had the biggest crush on Colby ever. And, you know,
Tales old as
she
time.
yeah, I mean, she passed away, like, 6 years ago or so, and I thought it was crazy when I went on the show of being like, "Wow, my grandma would have to start watching Survivor." She stopped watching after Heroes versus Villains because she was mad that Colby never wins.
Oh.
And so she stopped watching, and I was like, "Wow, she would have to watch this if she were still alive." And then I was thinking about, like, she'd be pumped, Colby's back, and, like, it would be, imagine if I was out there, like, what she would think of watching me play with Colby. Like, yeah,
Oh.
I love Colby. And weirdly, I didn't want to see Colby back because I think we're getting real inside baseball here, Sharon. But
Yeah, yeah.
my favorite confessional I've ever seen on Survivor is Colby's final confessional of Heroes versus Villains. And I think it's the perfect storybook ending for what
Mm.
is this really fascinating evolution of season 2 American hero Colby to this shell of himself version of Colby that still has this heart for the game and love for the game, but physically, can he do it anymore? And he kind of talks about how he's ready to quit, and that's kind of been the vibe we've gotten from Colby all season, that he's going to quit, and then he kind of goes, but I can't quit. I can't do it. He gets emotional and he fights back, and he ends up going out. But I think it's the beautiful end to his story, where when he was coming back, I was scared at, what does this version of Colby look like? And we're only one episode in, but I've loved it because we've
Yep.
got some of that, like, fire back in his eyes that you can tell, and some of that emotional softness of this older, wiser version of Colby that is like Grandpa Colby a little bit, and just like a
Yep.
little bit. I don't know. I was obsessed. I loved him a lot on this episode.
I feel that, and it's so funny, I feel like we all have a grandma who got us into Survivor, like, same with me when I was a
Yeah.
kid. My grandma was obsessed with Survivor, so I don't know, and I've heard other people say this, so shout out to the grandmas who loved Colby because the same thing. Excuse me. But I wanna go back to Genevieve because obviously you know Genevieve very well.
Yes.
I was almost most worried about, other than Savannah and Rizzo, Genevieve, because like you said, didn't have a lot of connections. I think people look at her as a massive threat.
Mm.
Um, excuse me. What, like, she got in with Stephanie in that group, which I was so happy to see. What was going on with her and Aubrey? That conversation was so uncomfortable for me to watch. What was going on there? Do we know?
I don't know. I mean, I think Genevieve she does have this aura that is intimidating to people that I think have a shred of self-doubt or lack, like have some sort of, like, insecurity, because Genevieve is a uh self-deprecating, very funny, very brilliant, and well-respected person, and she just kind of has this natural ability to command your attention. And I think a lot of
Mm,
people watch her and wonder, like, man, what she got that I don't have? Like, how come she's so magnetic like that? And so I think a big thing for Genevieve is finding people that have that same magnetism or that same confidence and are not intimidated by her, which can be hard
mm,
for her to find at times. But I think, speaking of, like, the tribe breakdown, right? Q, Kyle, Stephanie, these are not people that lack self-confidence. They're not somebody that looks at Genevieve and goes, I'm intimidated by you.
so true.
They just are willing to go to bat, and that's what they do. So I think that is a good mix for her, and I think we've seen Aubrey now. This is her 4th time, and a lot of her times coming out on Survivor, she kind of has this stumble of a start, and she is paranoid and insecure and doesn't really know like who her people are, and whether it's right at the beginning of Ko Rong where she's like having a mental breakdown on day whatever it was, or if it's at the beginning of Edge of Extinction where she's at the dead bottom of her tribe, and she's felt like a piece of garbage, she says at final tribal
Yep.
council after that. So I think Aubrey's somebody who looks at Genevieve very tentative and is like, she's very intimidated, very tentative, whereas some of these other people are willing to hit the ground running with her, and it matches her energy really well. But this is a pretty clear friction of personalities in my eyes. And I've never met Aubrey, but this is from how I read Aubrey through TV versus like what I know to be fact about Genevieve, that I think that it's a pretty clear contrast.
Yeah, I just also thought it was so interesting that they had such an open conversation like that. Because I think when maybe you're not vibing with someone, or the vibes feel off, like maybe you just wait, okay, maybe it'll change, or maybe I'll just keep an eye on that person. But Aubrey was very much like, what's your perception of me? And Genevieve was like, you're dangerous. And I'm like, well, we're really like laying it out here. So
yeah, well, I thought it was shocking though, like Aubrey's response, because like Genevieve definitely went for the bold approach with saying it like it is. And I think somebody like Genevieve can do that and get away with it if she, has this correct like read on it, because she is right, like Kyle's dangerous. She knows Kyle's dangerous, but if they can be dangerous together, they're great. I think Kyle said that about her in a confessional too, of being like, Genevieve is a scary player, but if a scary player is with me, that's great for me because that means we're doing damage. And I thought it was a shocking approach from Aubrey, because Genevieve kind of poses it as, I think you're dangerous, but if we're a dangerous duo, that can be really fun. In what world in Survivor 101 do you ever have somebody approach you, be like, let's be a duo? And then you go, I don't know about you. Why do you say that to somebody? That's outrageous.
Yeah, we don't see that often.
it was one of those. And again, this is one of the emotions that can make Survivor great, but it was an uncomfortable watch for all the wrong reasons.
I agree. But you know what? I give credit to Genevieve here, because had she placated her, it would have came off fake. So like, at least she was kind of telling it how like it is.
Yeah. And she didn't seem bothered by it. She was kind of just like, we didn't hear from Genevieve about the issue, but she didn't seem particularly bothered. She was kind of probably just like, oh, that was a little weird. Like, why is Aubrey being weird? I don't know.
Yeah. I'm interested to see more dynamics of like where Angelina fits in, which sadly we didn't get too much Angelina this episode, and Aubrey, because you have this majority alliance that we're seeing the most of. But I want to talk about Genevieve finding the idol here, or finding what did we find? The boomerang, Billie Eilish
boomerang idol, which it turns out is not an idol for her at all.
What am I fully understanding the rules here? So you want to hope you give it to someone that gets voted out with it in their pocket. Is that the goal?
It's one of the utilities, I suppose.
Okay.
So you have to send it to somebody not on your tribe. As we saw from Aussie opening it later on, the person that gets it cannot play it for somebody else. They must play it for themselves only. If they get voted out with it in their pocket, the idol boomerangs back to you and turns into your idol with no restrictions. So it can be used as a way to put a target on somebody's back, as a way to get yourself an idol if you like give it to somebody you believe is going to go home with it, or it could be used to barter a relationship. Like obviously now Genevieve has sent Aussie an idol. If she gets to meet up with Aussie at some other point in the game, you get to say, hey, that idol you've got in your bag, I gave that to you, and there's some goodwill there. So I have mixed feelings about this. How do you feel about the advantage as a whole?
I'm not sure. I like it's the Survivor purist in me, which I hate. Because there are elements of the new era that I love. I find it hard to keep track of who has what. And for this one, I don't, I guess, hate it. Especially because you can only play it on yourself, so that sort of limits it a little bit. But yeah, I'm really, I guess I'm a little more results oriented. Like I kind of have to see how it plays out to make a, but is Aussie the right move here? Was there someone else better that she could have chosen?
I think Aussie's a fine move. It's very hard blind. And I think that this is what my issue with it is. Because I can see why it's fascinating because there are multiple utilities to an idol, which I think creates for interesting TV dynamics. And depending on who gets the idol, how they use it will differ. Are you trying to deliberately target somebody? Are you trying to send it to a friend who you think might need it? Are you trying to give it to somebody you don't know to build a relationship there, right? Like that's kind of what they're going for. And I can see the value in that. Why I don't like it is because of the stage of the game that we're at.
Hmm.
I think this is more interesting at a 14-person merge. And
Okay.
you merge onto one big beach and somebody finds it and you have to give it to another player, but that player can only play it for themselves. And if they go home with it in their pocket, it comes back to you. Now, do you give it to your best friend? Do you give it to
Right.
somebody in the opposing alliance? Do you give it to somebody you don't know? This favors to me some of those pregame relationships that we talk about, where
Yep.
if Mike White had found this idol, he's sending that to Angelina
Any
ASAP
day.
Rocky, like
Yep.
it's going, no question, it's going to his buddy versus Genevieve, who doesn't have a, one of her co-stars from her season out there with her. She kind of just has to guess. And like,
Yeah.
you don't even know what the dynamics on the other, like this would have actually been a more fitting advantage for, I think, Savannah to get on her journey.
Oh.
Because at least with Savannah has now interacted with Colby and Mike. Savannah understands dynamics of the other two tribes. Are they telling the truth or not? I don't know. But she gets a powerful advantage that she can send to the other tribes based off of information that she's gathered. But Genevieve has no way of knowing. Is Aussie on the top? Is Aussie on the bottom? Does Aussie have friends? Is he about to go home? Or does Aussie have an extra vote in his bag and like all the
Yeah.
power on that tribe right now? You really don't know. And I think that creates for volatility of outcome. So I'll be interested to see, like you said, like, does it hit and create for really entertaining dynamics with these idols, or does it kind of turn into a nothing? I also struggle. Sorry, this is very not very digestive thoughts, but I struggle with the idea that people get rewarded for nothing. And
Right.
and that is what you have here, right? It's at least if there's some familiarity with relationships in the game, like at a merge or something, getting an idol gifted to you by another player comes down to you made a relationship with that person. There was a reason they gave it to you. I struggle with Genevieve doing the hard work of finding the idol, and Ozzy just kind of was like stumbles into being in like one of the most powerful positions in the game. And maybe that works out great, but I do think it can create for a pretty dangerous setup at one point when people don't necessarily have to do anything merit based to get a leg up on the rest of the competition.
Mm-mm. You brought up some great points. Is this something that we think is on every beach?
I would think so, right? I mean,
They have to do that, right? If they don't really make
sure,
it.
certainly. I think it would have to be balanced. Now, I will be interested. I will be interested. No, I think it has to be because I would say maybe
Yeah.
it's like a different type of idol, but how are you going to make one tribe's idol an idol that they have to give away and the other tribe's idol's like one that they can keep? So I think there will at least be some form of giveaway idol on the other beaches as well.
Oh god. Okay, we're gonna need this on the Chiron because I'm not gonna remember
Yeah,
any.
you need the chart.
Oh my god. But yeah, I'm interested to see how it plays out. Like you mentioned, Aussie has a lot of power. We didn't really talk about the fight for supplies here.
Maybe the best
Human,
part of the episode, by the way.
yeah, talk to me about it. What did you like?
I think I just think it was it was perfect. I like that's how you need the season to start. And I know that the producers were licking their lips and so happy. And just like that's why you bring Coach and Ozzy on the show. Like,
Right.
like there is a chance when you bring Ozzy on season 50 that it flops and you're just like, oh gosh, that happened on Game Changers. Coach versus this delivered anything else that they could do for the rest of the season. We got them like this was perfect, and it shows why Survivor can still be so brilliant, and it shows why these are the characters that fans have fallen in love with for years and years and years now. Because and this is what I saw throughout. This is another great overall piece of this episode on why I loved it so much. It felt like we were getting characters in their truest form, everybody trying to make tweaks to their game, and yet they revert back to their natural selves in spite of themselves. And
Yeah.
I think that was beautiful to see. It's like Cirie, I'm sure she doesn't want to blow the challenge, but of course she completely blows the challenge, is on the back foot, and like has to go back to her social relationships to get it. It's classic Cirie, right? It's right back
You're
where we
so
were.
right.
Aussie is trying to play this very different game where I'm Oscar, I'm not Aussie this time. And I think in his choices, maybe he is doing that with taking things like an extra vote instead of being a provider. And yet, as soon as Coach does like the transactional thing of looking out for himself, Ozzy gets so hurt by it. And it's like back to the version of Ozzy that stood up there in Micronesia and berated Parvati Shallow and saying, I was hurt by you, right back there talking to Coach. And we get Coach who is, playing this admittedly cutthroat game right after he says, I will play cutthroat and I will play with honor, right back to back. And he thinks he's over this. He thinks he's like, people either love me or they hate me. Soon as Mike White comes back and tells him that
Oh my God, I loved it.
somebody like said bad about his character, he breaks inside.
Did you see his face? He was like,
yeah. And it's such a good shot. The camera just going in on his face slowly, Mike White narrating it. It was beautiful. And it's stuff like that where that's exactly what you brought them out there for. It's exactly why you want them there. So I there could not have been a more perfect combination of three people, I think, than Q, Ozzy, Coach for that. A lot of people wanted Colby to go for that tribe, but I think Q added a funny variable too, because I know for a fact Q has not seen Survivor South Pacific.
no.
He's got no idea what's going on between these guys. He's like, that was weird, huh? And he's just sitting. I loved it.
Do you think Q gave up his vote too easily with Ozzy here?
I don't know. I actually kind of liked the decision for Q.
Okay.
I think when you are Q, I think you have to be aware of the perception of you coming in being very chaotic, to like, this is a mine that could blow up on me. Q comes back with either an extra vote or some sort of like combination of who knows who that information is going to get to, right? And I think there is something kind of disarming about Q, the hero who got tribe supplies for his tribe and can't vote. And all of a sudden, people became significantly less worried about Q, and he was able to kind of find his way into an alliance really well. I think that actually works for him a lot. And I think it makes sense for Ozzy to, especially if Ozzy's pushing hard for it, right? Like, that's a hill that you might not want to die on. You might so I think that at least from what we saw, Ozzy was pretty deliberately like, I think I need the extra vote. I think I need the extra vote. Like, you can only be like, I don't know, so many times before it's like, all right, man, geez, it's an extra vote. Take it. Okay.
Ozzy's like, I'm going to tribal council a lot, so I need this.
Right. Well, and that's the other thing, right? Like this appears to be with Colby, Q, Kyle before the injury. It appears to be a very strong tribe. They've got Aubrey and Genevieve for puzzles and whatnot. So like they should be okay. Stephanie is maybe the best challenge performing woman out there. Like she's still absolutely doing the thing.
Oh my God.
So
insane. No, yeah, I you're not wrong. I think Q, it kind of worked out for him. At first I would be like, why would you give up so easily? But also the other thing, I wonder what's going to happen here with Ozzy, because he has so much power, quote unquote power now. He has two things, right? He told Cirie about the first one, or he told Cirie about both. I'm trying to remember.
He tells Cirie about the vote. I don't think Cirie knows about the idol yet.
Yeah, I'm curious if he's going to lean on Cirie to help navigate that, which I kind of hope he does, because I don't know if I have all the confidence that Ozzy is going to use these things properly. But
yeah, well, I mean, that's like that is the key to Ozzy, I think, having longevity in the game, is be like, Cirie, protect me, and then and tell me what to do with my stuff. And then you kind of just have to hope that this time around, maybe she gets clipped before you do or something. And you just hope you don't get Micronesia'd again by Cirie. But, I think because that's kind of what he did in Micronesia. He leaned heavily on Parvati and Cirie to direct him. And then when they decided they had had enough of him, they had had enough of him.
I'm excited to see how it plays out. What do we think about so wait, Mike goes, he just goes there and comes right back? Like,
I guess nothing. So. I suppose.
Is that normal? Does that happen? I'm trying to think. I feel like they always do something. the third person.
Yeah, I can't really remember a time that somebody just got sent back, because normally it's like you can you like walk up and choose not to play and then go home, but you at least
Right.
like go to your table or something like that. And I'm sure there was a
Yeah.
lot of conversation, and Mike, I'm sure is loving going just for the conversation and to get away from camp for a little bit. But um
I love to see how much fun Mike White is having. Like, usually you would think I would say like, "Oh, he's not even there to win because he knows he has a really small chance of winning."
yeah,
And I'm like, "Why waste a spot?" But like, I love him stirring the pot. I love him, going up to Charlie being like, "I want to rely on you. I'm grandpa," and saying these crazy things and poking the bear with coach. And I'm just like, "You know what, Mike? I love that you're here." So,
he's
that's what I get.
tremendous, and I do think he's playing like really well already.
Yeah.
Um like he's just so impressive, and I think like the vibe of everybody before the season was, ooh, Mike White, like White
Yep.
Lotus, who's going to be vying for that White Lotus spot and not want to vote him out? And yeah, I kind of had this picture in my head of Mike White running it like the Navy, where everybody's too intimidated, like almost kind of like Cirie, right? Where it's like people are too intimidated to vote out Cirie, or they're too scared to vote out Cirie, that Mike just gets his way. And he's taking like a completely different approach from that. And he's made me convinced of like, oh, Mike's just this goofy little guy that's here and like having fun. And he's got game in his head. He's thinking and like
He has abs
strategizing
now,
and stuff.
Sam.
He, I think the abs are a cover, by the way. I think like Mike got the abs just so people would talk about his abs and not the
He
fact that
spray
he's
tan
not.
the abs on.
Yeah, just so they would talk about the abs and not the fact that he's Mike White. But I really enjoyed
It's
him
funny.
in the premiere. And he was somebody who I kind of anticipated would get a lot of confessionals and a lot of airtime. I was not bothered by it one bit. I thought it fit, and he was narrating tremendously. So more of that, please.
Totally agree. Do we think, I mean, we see the preview, Aussie and Coach, this is going to come to a head a bit. Do we think this is going to be something that they could squash, or is Coach going to take this personal?
Nope, this is done. Relationship over. They played nice for like 30 minutes, and
30
then
seconds.
yeah, I love it. I don't think that we're gonna see another squash. I think they tried that with the whole like, you should have won. Man, I took it bad, but we know Coach doesn't play about his honor or his character, and he I think I don't know. I've never met Coach. I love Coach. He is so Colby is like, close place. My Coach is my favorite character. I have Coach's book on my bookshelf.
Oh,
I'm like fascinated by Coach. I still don't know if it's a bit or not. And I think like he does lean halfway into it as part of the bit. And once somebody besmirches your character on TV, he knows that it's war. So I
yeah.
cannot wait to see what happens next. I'm
Yeah.
smiling just like thinking about I laughed audibly many times at Coach in the premiere, and just the things that he does. He's so him.
Yep. I love it. I want to talk a little bit about that Cala tribe because we kind of didn't see everyone or get too much screen time. Loved Camilla being like, I'm over this honor integrity bullshit. Like,
Yeah.
can we not do that? I think if someone is quote unquote in trouble, it looks like they're setting us up for D. We see Jonathan and Chrissy sort of throw her name out, but then we see D connect with Tiffany and Camilla. What do you think? What do you make of that in the edit? Is that something that's gonna, you think, play out? Like, are they setting something up here?
Yeah, I think by dynamics, I'm really interested in this group. I really want them to go to tribal. I really just want to see what this looks like, because it
Yep.
feels to me like Charlie's kind of doing what he did in 46 again. And when I break it down, I think Charlie and Mike White are in the middle here, right? It's the
Yep.
three girls with Tiffany, D, and Camilla. It seems
Yep.
like Jonathan, Coach, and Chrissy are together, based on like the vibes and the way that they were talking. And so then that leaves that pair of Charlie and Mike, who were at least shown walking and talking together, stuck between these trios. What I find really interesting about this is I know Charlie has a relationship with D. I know Charlie has a relationship with Coach. Those are two people on opposite sides of
Oh
these
yeah.
trios. And so I don't know which way they will go. And I think that it could be either way. So I find this group very fascinating, but it does seem like D is the target top of everybody's mind. And this kind of goes into the tribe breakdown that we talk about. Like you put a different fit or different combination, right? Like Kyle is on this tribe, and maybe there's some fear about, hey, that's a winner, like there is fear about D being a winner. Chrissy seems to be somebody in particular who's like, you've won, you can go.
Yep.
Kyle's tribe doesn't seem bothered by the fact that he won the game. Like that's not on their radar whatsoever.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see. They kind of came off for a minute as like the Kumbaya tribe. They're doing yoga. It's like, oh, we're all chill here. But yeah, I'm curious to see because when I was at their tribe camp, I felt like I could see Jonathan and Dee maybe working together. Now I could have totally read that wrong, but I'm curious like if there's a tribe strength issue and Jonathan is
Yeah.
tribe strong. I mean, Dee is like no joke, right? Like
Well, I
Dee
mean, who is their tribe strength boot? Is it? I mean, would they sell it on Chrissy just because of her age, even though she's like the immunity queen? Is it Camilla, or do they need Camilla for puzzles? Like,
yeah, it's hard to say. I feel like
you've
I
all made a
was
big deal about Mike White's abs. Now you can't vote him out for
well,
tribe strength. You
that's
can't.
true. I was worried about Camilla a little bit going into the season too. I think, they just watched her sort of snake a lot of people.
Yeah.
Um,
I mean,
so
here's what I'll say about this group. I don't think they're going to lose
no.
because of what we just said, right? Like their weak person for challenges is Camilla, who has a very clear like pigeonhole strength in puzzles, which you need in these tribe challenges. D, absolute badass. Tiff, badass. Chrissy,
Yep.
4 immunities. Charlie seems to have bulked up a lot. I noticed that. Like Charlie
Yeah.
seems to be in. He was hitting the weight room before the season. Mike's in good shape. You've got Jonathan, who's 2 people. I don't know how they lose. Genuinely, I think that they're going to be sitting pretty.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I wanted to go here with predictions going forward. Again, I'm not spoiled people. I don't know what happens. Whatever I was spoiled on is already happened. But I feel like that obviously I feel like Cila's gonna lose again. I just don't think they're strong.
Mm.
And I think that Savannah lie is gonna come back. I just worry really about Savannah there. That's kind of what I'm thinking is gonna happen, but what do you think?
I think, yeah, I think Sila's probably the most likely to lose the challenge. We got to see what, I don't know the names of all of them, but we got to see what Kyle's tribe is looking like
Vatu.
without Kyle,
Yeah,
Vatu.
true.
If they lose, Aubrey, Angelina definitely seem to be on the bottom. I think, there's the lost votes with Q and with Colby now, but Rizzo certainly seems to be somebody who I think could swing very easily to that group with his
Yep.
relationship with Colby. And then you're talking about Rizzo, Steph, and Genevieve having a 3-vote power over Aubrey or Angelina if they choose to. So I could see that. And then I think, yeah, if Cila loses again, you're probably talking about that same core of Rick and Christian and Emily having to make a decision between splitting up that Aussie Cirie pair, which they do seem very worried about, or Savannah and how much that advantage is lingering in the back of their minds.
Yeah, no, it's true. I also, now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, they can easily send 2 tribes to tribal council next
Yeah.
episode. I mean, at this point, we need to hurry it up, and we're only after,
I
4 days in.
I think Aussie might be in trouble.
Yeah? Okay.
I do. I don't know. I think the fact that they pivoted to Aussie to begin with, like to me, there was never a better, more clear-cut, easy opportunity to vote out Cirie. Like it was a disaster first round of Survivor for her. She was clearly on the bottom in a very clear duo and completely blew the challenge for her tribe. That is a home run elimination just about any time. And I think the fact that even when they started talking about a plan against the duo, they kind of pivoted to this idea of Aussie instead of Cirie shows that the people in that majority alliance have plans to take Cirie deep into the game with them. But I do think that this duo is going to be in their heads. I do think it's going to linger. I do wonder if the Coach and Aussie stuff maybe, creates a little bit of conflict, or people start to wonder, maybe it comes out that Aussie has an extra vote or something like that from Q if we hit this big thing. And then, I don't know. Are we foreshadowing? I mean, we did do a decent foreshadowing when Genevieve sent the idol over to Aussie. That's like, he's gone home with one before. Maybe we'll just do it again. So I think he could be. Plus, this is a bit of a edit reading, but 19 confessionals in episode 1. Maybe we're just getting our fill of Aussie before we lose our Aussie.
Did they say someone say that was more than he got in Game Changers completely or
I
something?
believe that.
Is that true?
I don't know, but I believe it.
It makes sense, to be honest. All right, you're not wrong there. I could, it's just one of those things that like, do they keep Cirie in as sort of like this bigger threat in front of them? But it's just like you let Cirie go too far, then you're in trouble. Um, but yeah, one other thing I wanted to ask about was, these journeys or when you're away from your tribe, Q came back, he didn't tell the full story, right? Like I think he sort of made something up.
He made it up and then he told his alliance.
His alliance, okay. Because I'm just always
But like,
curious, how much do you want to lie there? Because that will easily be corroborated when you
yeah.
switch tribes.
No, my personal philosophy is all the truth immediately. Kind of because of what I said with Savannah earlier. Like you
Yep.
are always putting yourself at risk of them thinking that you're lying, which it at some point all you can do is like tell the absolute full truth. And unless it truly is something like an idol,
Right.
I have a hard time seeing it being a hill worth dying on at this stage in the game. And so I think the right weapon is similar to what Q did. I probably would have been forthcoming with it to everybody right away, but I do think you at least have to tell some people the entire truth and kind of weaponize it to be a thing to barter some trust with.
Especially if someone like Q, he needs that.
Yeah, no, yeah, he definitely needs that. And so I think that was an okay play. But
Okay.
yeah, my philosophy is, man, it's day 2, day 3, whatever it is. It's a long game. You have to relationships come first, trust comes first, and you got to get in with your group. So
Yeah.
whatever advantage or secret you might be holding is not worth. And like obviously, like you said, Savannah's in an interesting spot because Colby left early. And so there is sort of this idea of like, I have this advantage that Colby doesn't know about. And could I get away with keeping it secret? But when you're there with Aussie and like one of you knows the truth about what happened, it's going to come out at some point. I've never understood why people never lie about information that can be verifiably disproven by somebody
Right.
else in the game,
Exactly.
because people talk all the dang time and it's one conversation that can blow up your whole game. It's not worth taking on that risk.
Yeah. Yeah. I was kind of surprised, not surprised, but that they did make the Savannah advantage a secret because they could have easily just said, like, and I think, have they done this
Same
before? I'm trying to think.
Not that I mean, they've done secret advantages on journeys before,
Right.
but they haven't done them when like the people are together. Like I
Yes.
remember when on my season, I didn't go on a journey, but Annika went on a journey in the pre-merge with Rome and Kyle, I believe. Yeah, and the 3 of them went, but they like walked to their own
Oh,
table.
right. Yeah.
And so it was like they had to choose if they were going to play or they had to play or whatever it was, but the other 2 people were not going to find out if they got the most powerful advantage or if they lost votes. Like you weren't going to know. And so like Rome got it but we didn't know that Rome got it. So that
Okay.
information
Okay.
doesn't come back straight from you. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, they packed a lot in this premiere. Again, I'm super happy with the premiere. I thought it was great, but I do worry, not worry, but I wonder, like, as someone, we watched the show, we know everything about the show. We can keep up with it, but I imagine like if my grandmother's watching now, she's like, "What the hell is going on with all these advantages?"
It's a lot of people to keep track of. It
Yeah,
really
well,
is.
people too. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but
Storylines, people, advantages jumping from this to that. If you're not familiar with recent new era, you're like, what the heck is a journey? I don't know what these things are. Um,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
eventful, but I think that's kind of the pace that we're probably gonna have with the season.
Yep. Any thoughts? I mean, I don't know if there's anything to even say here about the fan vote. I mean, are we shocked by what they're choosing?
Um, no, and I kind of like it. I don't know. I'm excited. I'll say this. I want to hear from when it's all said and done, I want to hear from old era players that go far in the game. And I want to know
Hmm.
what it was. I want to know how it compared, because
Yeah.
I will say, like, I think the biggest thing that would get me about old school Survivor is like boredom on off days and just kind of like the slow, monotonous pace. I absolutely give people credit for, putting up with stuff for that long. But I sometimes I watch some of these seasons and I'm like, they're getting like full bowls of rice every single day. I'm like, that I think you go like actual weeks without eating anything in the new era. And I'm curious to see how the pace of play and like the sheer physicality of the pace of play combined with some of the um physical stuff like no rice. I want to see how that affects some of these. And maybe they're like, yeah, it was way easier than old school and then okay. But I'm happy they voted this way because I want them to try it and see what comes out.
Yeah, I'm interested to see. I don't think it's ever going to settle the debate, but whether which one's harder, old school or new school. But at least we'll have a closer answer. We'll see what people say and how long these old school players last. But
And
yeah, Sam.
yeah, that'll be fun too. It's
Yeah, right.
like just like see like the styles of gameplay, right? And who adapts and who thrives because of it.
Yeah, Sam. Anything else from the premiere that we didn't touch on? I feel like we covered most of everything, right?
Yeah, I think most of everything. I think yeah, I had a good time. And that's
Yeah.
like what I'm looking for out of Survivor now is like I just want to have a good time watching it. And I think it had everything. So I'm very excited to keep it rolling here. It's crazy because of like what you said with how quickly some of these things are going to come about where we might get like double, triple boots. And like, it's just going
Yep.
to be people are dropping like flies after 2 years now of anticipation for the season from when Jeff first mentioned it and was like, as a concept that was coming to actually be here and to think like, hey, 5 weeks from now, like half this cast is going to be like, done. And like, that's crazy. Like that at that possibility, because we're going to be moving.
We're going to be losing people left and right, and it's going to be a little bit devastating, but also necessary.
Yeah, it's the Hunger
Um,
Games. We're just yeah.
exactly. Well, Sam, this has been great. Thank you so much for joining me.
Of course.
I would be remiss not to ask you. You're going to play Survivor again, right? Like that's happening. You're interested.
I would love to. I hope to.
Okay.
I hope to. Yeah,
Okay.
I think about it every day, but we'll see. I don't know what they've got planned. I would love to.
All right. Well, I mean, Jeff did tell me. I mean, I hope that they learn their lesson that waiting 10 seasons for a returning player season is not the best. But
Okay.
we'll see.
Well,
We'll
I hope
see.
they still have my number. We'll see.
Well, thank you again, Sam. Appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you.